It's August 14th, and we're seeing how Bitcoin is starting to break through support levels with ease, one after another. Not the support levels we've marked as important, like 60,000 on the downside, or even resistance levels on the upside at 68,000, but rather the support levels we call pseudo-supports. That is, the pseudo channel we marked yesterday, and other pseudo channels we can see on smaller time frames of 15 or 30 minutes. Today, like other days, what we are going to do is determine that price movement. If you've been following my videos for a while, you'll see that the forecast is accurate. What we do is not complicate things with indicators, with news unrelated to the chart itself, but rather what we try to do is look for what those who are trying to deceive us are doing. Because if you've been in trading for a while, or you're new, you know there's a feeling that you enter the chart and the chart, or the price, so to speak, goes in the opposite direction. That's no coincidence. Rather, the strong hands institutions, that is, those who truly move the market, are playing with your perspective, meaning they're manipulating the indicators so that you enter the chart at the worst possible moment, get trapped, and they can play their game. We do exactly the opposite. We look in a simple way at volume because they can't hide volume since it's the footprints of these large masses of money. They can't hide it. We go looking for the most viable strategies, and that's how we anticipate the price. At the end of the video, we're going to get into the analysis. At the end of the video, I'll give you the challenge, the August challenge, so you can see how it's going and that it's very simple. I would say it's the easiest way to make money in trading without complicating things at all. Okay, we use, price action before we start looking for volume. Price action tells us those zones where the price reacts, and we combine it or join it with the shape of the candles. That is pure theory, and what it gives us is those reaction zones. Then volume really will tell us where it's going to go, the probability of the move being big or small. We'll get into that a bit later in the video. Okay, first we set up support and resistance. You know that the fundamental channel is the one formed by 60,000 as support and 68,000 as resistance. If what you're interested in is making money trading, whether professionally or as a side job, I've designed a course where you'll stop looking at indicators and start understanding what the market is really doing, what the big players are really doing, and you'll be able to make money the way they do. Let's continue with the analysis. We've marked a pseudo channel over these last few weeks because we see that the price, although the trend is indeed between 60,000 and 68,000, is falling a bit short of that big move with each movement. That's why we've marked this pseudo channel between 62,300 on the bottom, support at 62,300, and on the top, 65,600. Very well, we already have that. And of course, the middle of the channel, which in this Wyckoff movement, as I explain the Wyckoff phases in my course, I've left the link in the description. As I explain, 64,000 in this case is very, very important. The Wyckoff phases I was telling you about, now in the long term, I'll show you in a moment, are an accumulation, but looking at it on the 4-hour chart, which is exactly where we are, we see how it goes from one side to the other, loading up that movement and trying to deceive everyone the whole time. Throughout this entire movement, the strong hands are trying to deceive retail to fill their coffers. What I was telling you before about looking at the volume, which is where the institutions are, of course, this is the chart where one candle represents 1 week. This means that what we are seeing is in the medium to long term. We are clearly in an accumulation. I already warned you about the arrival of that accumulation at this moment that we saw this selling climax. And that's what I just showed you on the 4-hour chart, which you see with less perspective. In other words, we are getting much closer to the movement to see those Wyckoff phases. We are in an accumulation, and we are seeing how, after reaching the resistance zone, it's slowly coming back to the support zone, which is the 60,000 area. With that in mind, we'll drop down to our 4-hour headquarters now and look at the movement. It's clear that it's going to head toward the 60,000 zone. That doesn't mean it will touch it exactly, because these aren't lines, but rather zones. It could stay close above 60,000, or even break through it, like it did a while ago, We saw about a month ago or so how it spent a lot of time in this 60,000 zone, but breaking through it and reaching below 58,000. Right now, you know that institutions take advantage of retail sentiment. During this moment, all the retail investors thought it was going to go down. Panic set in, fear took hold of the retail market, and so the movement was upward. Now, like I was telling you, even though we are expecting a break of this support, it doesn't mean it will be immediate. We aren't going to see a red candle movement today, Friday, that breaks this support and goes to the other support at 60,000. All movements in trading and on any chart that has a normal volatility, that is to say normal behavior, whichever one, like Ethereum, or it could be gold, silver, oil, a stock, for example, Apple, they always have this movement. I say this because there are certain altcoins that have extremely high volume volatility. Suddenly no volume comes in and there can be wicks and the behavior isn't normal. From my point of view as a trader, I don't recommend you get into that type of altcoin because it's practically a lottery. It's waiting for a fund to appear, for a whale to suddenly put volume in the direction you've entered. No, it practically makes no sense. On the other hand, Bitcoin, Ethereum, or all the assets, not just altcoins or cryptocurrencies, but any asset that has impact works this way, and it's easy to follow. Very well, what I was telling you is that we are going to see that game. We are making the forecast for 7-10 days. That game we already anticipated yesterday in this zone between 62,300 and 64,000. As you can see, the highs are getting further and further away from the 64,000 zone, but we can see a certain rebound playing. Because also keep in mind that today is Friday. It's now 10 in the morning, but on Friday, like Friday afternoon around 6 Spanish time, I'm always talking about, it's like the movement changes. Bitcoin loses a lot of the volume that we normally see and enters a kind of lethargy. You can get in, do trading, do intraday scalping on those movements, because a sudden volume does move the price many times in favor of the positions. And it's also interesting, but in principle it changes. It's as if they were two different charts. What happens during the week from Sunday night to Friday afternoon, as I told you, 6 in the evening, and then from Friday at 6 in the evening to Sunday night. They're like two scenarios. Even if it's Bitcoin, even if it's the same price, there are two totally different scenarios. What we can expect, as I tell you, the forecast, is that it continues, tries to touch this support, keeps playing around, trying to always deceive retail. But in the short to medium term, when I talk about the short to medium term right now, I'm referring to the next 7 to 10 days. We are going to see the first forays below that 62,300, a retest from the area below, and a continuation of the movement. We could see a turn at any moment, that is, an inflow of volume, a volume spike, which is where the institutions are, and it could approach 64,000. It's an option. A breakout now above 64,000 is a less likely option, but we always have to keep those elements on the table that make us jump from one forecast to another. We have a forecast where we think about what the strong hands are doing, but keep in mind that they are in no rush, and they will always be trying to deceive you. That's why you always have to be looking for clues, and I post videos every day with those new clues. Very well, we have that forecast. I also wanted to tell you the VIP Telegram channel, where there are 100 of us, the channel is closed. Before, it was open and anyone could join. Now currently I've closed it, and the only way to get in is if you use the link I leave in the description of this video. You sign up on mxc.com, which is completely free, and make your first deposit. In this case, it would allow you to enter both the VIP, which is where I post the 2 daily signals, and the discussion group, where there are very, very valid opinions, as much or more than mine. Strategies. It's very, very, very entertaining, and the truth is that it really supports trading. It's not a family, but come on, it's a very well getting along group, and always very respectful of all opinions. Okay, we have this set up. I wanted to tell you before moving on to the challenge the circumstances of the 15-30 minutes to enter for scalping or intraday. Now, we are seeing this small green candle with some volume, and it is marking a certain pullback for us. It's a risky situation because the predictable movement is for it to be a bit upward. I'm always talking about scalping or intraday. A bit upward, we don't know how far, and you're going to go against the movement. That's why it's a somewhat complicated situation, but it seems quite clear that the pullback is going to happen because we've seen the arrival at this reaction zone of 63,000. We've seen an entry of volume. We've seen that rejection. Back again to the 63,000 situation, a little bit below. Volume entry again, and now we see that it starts to move more easily. It's a pretty good situation. Or you can simply wait for that strength to end. And when you see those upper wick zones reaching a reaction zone, like 63,500, or even if it has little strength, 63,200, you see those wicks, volume entry, you can see a short, entering a short position in a quite favorable way. I'll show you now what I was telling you about. Well, before getting into the challenge, I wanted to tell you that there are no other telegrams or channels other than the official one, which is the VIP telegram, and it's not open to just anyone. You have to go through that process. I say this because there are many channels that take advantage of this channel, of my name, and try to deceive you. No. The only way is a private channel, and the only way is by getting in touch with me through the links I leave in this video. If you search for Mikel Vazquez on Telegram or any other platform, don't trust what comes up because they might be trying to scam you. Only what you see here on YouTube and in these links. Alright, now we're really getting into the August challenge. I'll show you yesterday's entry and explain how it works, which is the easiest way to win in trading. What I do is I started on August 1st with a $500 account on MEXC. Every day I make micro entries, just one. I set a TP at $15, $20 or $30 when it's bigger. And I go making this micro entry and I wait for the TP to hit. I don't complicate things by looking for complex strategies. I just go with the movement. When it's clear, I enter. It doesn't need to take a long time because the leverage is 10 and the account is quite large. You grab those $15, $20 or $30 right away. I'm also setting the TP for you, and I wanted to tell you right now the account is at 593. The excess over 500 I'm going to raffle off among. For example, right now it would be 93, but let's hope it gets to quite a bit more. Last month we doubled it, meaning I think I made 592. I'll raffle it off among all of you who meet the condition I told you about earlier, which is to sign up for MEXC, which is completely free through my link, and make a deposit. MEXC will also give you a $50 reward. I'm Mikel Vazquez. This is Daily Bitcoin Analysis. I really appreciate you watching this video, and as I always tell you, this is not financial advice. Rather, I am sharing my experience with you after more than 15 years in professional trading. See you tomorrow, Saturday, because there are clues and we need to be very attentive.